Hey guys, Matt Fig here with you. Today I'm going to teach you a few things that'll save you some money with techs. I'm going to be using an RM100 amplifier, so you MTS enthusiasts ought to be happy. And basically I'm going to cover which tube is which, how to bias your amplifier, and also how to pop in change tubes safely. So hopefully this is going to lead you in the right direction. The only tools you're going to need are a screwdriver and a flashlight. I'm feeling lightheaded. Tubes. Whoop. I mean, tubes. We all love them. But sometimes we're not exactly sure what is what. So this video is going to give you just a quick rundown of that very thing. Okay, here's my cheapo intro lesson to tubes. Basically it's this. As the tube gets bigger, you're looking at an EL84. This is actually in an adapter. I can pop that out if you like. Okay, so this is an EL84. As you can see, in comparison to the EL34, it's considerably smaller. What that means is that you're going to get less uppers, lowers, everything. As the glass gets bigger, this is a 6L6, this is a KT88, excuse me. As the glass gets bigger, you're going to lose the mid-range and you're going to get a larger amount of uppers and lowers. So your highs and lows are going to become more pronounced. These kind of big tubes like this are great for those people who really like a deep, deep chug and a really nice high. I'm kind of a guy who sticks right around here, and the variants of these EL34s are like the 6CA7s and the KT77s. These are my favorites. And I like mixing them in the RM100 with 6L6 tubes as well. So it's all a matter of choice preference, but this is a basic description of them, so there you go. So let's get a little bit deeper into this whole tube thing. I'm looking at the back of an RM100, and as you can see, as I said, my favorites are variants of EL34s. So these are Gold Lion KT77s, and they're mixed with a pair of EH6CA7s. I find this to be my favorite combination, as I'm more of a British tone kind of a fella. In any case, okay, your closest preamp tube, which is this, and again, before you start doing any of this, make sure your amp's off and even pull the plug, because it hurts when you don't, and it also can damage your amp on top of your brain. I'm guessing, you know, for most of you guys, your amps are more valuable, but you know, to each their own. This one that's closest to the power tubes is always your phase inverter, which means that this is the tube that's going to be splitting your signal, and you're going to want something that's balanced, and a lot of people like a lower gain tube in there. Myself exactly like that as well, and a 5751 seems to be the fave. Okay, now the tube that's always closest to your input, up here, because your input jack is right up here in the amp, the tube that's always closest to your input is your V1. This is the first tube that your signal's hitting, and you want it to be your best tube in your box. You want it to be a good, strong signal 12AX7 tube. This one here for the RM100 is just your loop buffer, and I'm using the little loop buffer trick for anybody who knows about that. You just max the effects in the front, and you have yourself a little bit of an extra bit of gain to it. So that is essentially what you got going on here. Let's get to biasing this bad boy, and we're going to have to power it back up and be very, very safe. Okay, before you start biasing your amp, there's something important that you need to do. The first thing is make sure your amp is on, powered up. Make sure your master volume is all the way down, and take it off of standby. Okay, for this tutorial I have chosen an Innova very simple self-ranging monitor. What you want to do is set it to millivolts DCV, and this is an auto ranger again, so if you don't have one that's auto ranging, you definitely want to make sure that you know what you're doing with one that you got to fix the ranging. So let's get it plugged in. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your common. This is your black one, and you're going to plug it into right there. It says common. Pretty easy. Next thing you're going to want to do is take your red one. You're going to go right into your test point of tube 1. Now what you're going to have is a reading on your multimeter. This says 30.2, and for a KT77 I like it to be a little bit warmer than that, so I'm gonna heat this up. Let me get my screwdriver. Okay, I'm back with my screwdriver. The amp's heated up a little bit more in my time gone, and we're at 31. I want to put that at 33, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my screwdriver and slip it into the bias adjust. as I turn it ever so slightly, you're going to see this bias creep up. Whoop, we're a little high there. We're going to put it right at 33. Then what I'm going to do is move this test point to the next tube. Now my next tube I got to mention is a different tube. This one is a 6CA7, but I'm going to bias it at about 33 as well. This one's 32.4, so it is going to need to come up a little. Some of these jump pretty fast. You know, don't sweat if you're not getting it right on the point that you're looking for. Anything within a millivolt, 2 millivolts is cool. Okay, I'm moving it over to the next test point here. This is my next 6CA7. Woo, this one's running a little hot, 35. So screwdriver in. There we go. Okay, take my last test point here, and I'm going to move it over to my last KT77. Got to pay attention to that. And that one also is going to need a little bit of an adjustment. So let's bring this one. Whoa, this one's really jumping here. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk for a moment about preamp tubes. Those are those smaller size tubes, and these are the ones that are going to give your girth and your gain to your signal. Now there's lots of different brands out there, so to speak, meaning that there's different stamps, whether it be JJ, Ruby, whatever you have. I don't want to say too many tube names, but there's very few manufacturers, so just know that. Fresh tubes are better than old tubes. Okay, how do you know if tubes are fresh and tubes are old? Well, you buy new tubes and you have them tested. Or you use old tubes and you hope that they still sound good. It's up to you, but you can always try them in and out. That's what I'm going to show you right now. This little tube tester here is all set to go, and all I'm going to do is line up my pins. I just installed a tube, just like in your amp, and then I just uninstalled the tube, and oh, I'm trying a new one. Okay, so you guys get it. It's a very simple process, and it's an important process because this is a real integral part of your signal. And if you don't have healthy tubes in your preamps, then you might as well forget having a crisp, perfect signal, because that's never going to happen. Tubes are very important in a tube amp. Who would have thought?